arrived to this scene. Suppressing her astonishment, she spoke to me respectfully. "Young master, it's dangerous here. Mr. Julian asked you to return to your room." "Why? I just came out. And as you can see, he's perfectly behaved." Mrs. Gable hesitated. "It's not because of Caesar. A guest has arrived, and Mr. Julian wishes for you to stay out of sight." My face was blank, my tone flat. "What kind of guest?" "One that he can see, but I can't." My words carried a sudden weight that made Mrs. Gable feel a sense of pressure. Mrs. Gable tried to persuade me further, but I was already heading towards the meeting room. I pushed open the doors. "I'm the heir of this house. It's not too much to ask to be included in your discussions, is it?" Julian's face darkened. This disobedient fool, why did he have to come here? Did he think this was a game? I saw the three people sitting inside. One was Julian. Another was an old man in his 70s or 80s, with an arrogant posture and deep, sinister eyes that were somewhat terrifying. From his appearance, he seemed even more difficult to deal with than Silas. The third person was Mr. White. Though just a butler, he was sitting as an equal with Julian and the guest, creating a subtle balance of power. Mr. White's expression remained calm when he saw me, but Julian was not pleased. "What are you doing here?" I smiled. "I'm a part of the Astor family too. I wanted to join you." My actions, however, were assertive. I sat down directly next to Julian. "Julian, aren't you going to introduce me to this guest?" The man stared at me, then a chilling smile spread across his face. "Young master, I'm no guest." I asked bluntly, "Then who are you?" The man replied, "My name is Coleman. Your parents and Julian all call me Mr. Coleman." As he spoke, he exuded an air of arrogance, then sat silently, waiting for me to address him with the same title of respect. I understood immediately. I had researched him before. Mr. Coleman was the chairman of Oceanic Shipping Group, controlling 5% of the world's freight routes. He was a sworn brother of the first-generation Astor patriarch, a shareholder in a rival conglomerate, and a secret supporter of great-uncle Silas, hoping to spin off the shipping business. Though not an Astor by name, he was practically family, having dedicated most of his life to the Astor's enterprises. Mr. Coleman was seething with rage. Julian, however, laughed from the side. "Ethan is just straightforward. Please don't take his words to heart." Inwardly, though he was cursing him out, Mr. Coleman said with a cold face, "Of course I wouldn't stoop to arguing with a junior, but since the young master has returned to the Astor family, he should learn the rules, like remembering to knock before entering next time." My tone remained casual. "We'll see about next time. Where were we in the conversation? Let's continue." Julian was getting genuinely anxious now. "Go on, get out and have fun. You wouldn't understand what we're discussing today. I'll include you next time." It wasn't just him. The entire Astor family didn't want me exposed to these matters. "There were some things I was absolutely not supposed to hear," I retorted. "I haven't even listened yet. How do you know I won't understand?" Mr. Coleman chimed in, "Exactly. As the direct blood heir of the Astor family, your brother is far more qualified than you to be involved in these things. Are you perhaps afraid he'll take your power?" His words were clearly meant to sow discord. Julian's face turned frighteningly cold. Mr. White, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. "The two young masters each have their own roles. The master and madam will make the proper arrangements for them. This is not something Mr. Coleman needs to worry about." Mr. Coleman's cold expression returned. "I'm not worrying needlessly. It was just a casual mention." I asked with confusion, "Isn't Mr. White the butler? He said before that he couldn't meddle in the family's affairs. So how is he sitting here now?" Before Mr. White could answer, Mr. Coleman cut in. "Butler? He's much more than just a butler. Surely the Astor family hasn't been hiding this from the young master." His surprise seemed genuine. He then looked at Julian with a hint of reproach. "Mr. Julian, you've always been close with White. You haven't explained this to your brother Ethan." I pressed. "More than a butler? Then what is he?" Mr. Coleman revealed it just like that. "Like me, he is a member of the Astor family's Council of Elders." Julian's and Mr. White's eyes darkened. I feigned confusion. "Council of Elders?" "Yes, the Council of Elders. The Astor family's council has 5 members in total." Seeing that he was about to say more, Julian interrupted him in a low voice. "Mr. Coleman, you seem to be particularly talkative today." In reality, I already knew what he was going to say. Mr. White was never a simple character. On the surface, he was the Astor's butler, but behind the scenes, he was the master of their shadow operations, a member of the family's council, and an elder in their shadow council. He managed their Black Ops division, handling intelligence, assassinations, and gray market deals, all deeply connected to the Black Ledger Julian managed. Mr. Coleman sighed dramatically. I'm getting old, can't even say a few extra words without being disliked. The young master's timing is unfortunate. We just finished our discussion. Let's go. Do you want to come along? I acted surprised. Finished so quickly? Where are we going? Mr. Coleman said, to handle some business matters. The young master can come along and learn. Julian cut him off. Mom and Dad haven't given Ethan permission to leave the estate yet. Mr. Coleman looked at me with a hint of pity. You can't even leave the house? As expected, I frowned in displeasure. Yeah, Julian, you don't have to be so guarded with me, do you? Julian replied, it's for your own safety. He was adamant about not letting me leave. With my parents and sisters away, he wasn't confident he could handle any unexpected situations outside. Mr. Coleman watched us, seemingly on the verge of an argument, with great satisfaction. All right, Mr. Julian is just afraid of taking responsibility, isn't he? In that case, the young master can come with us. If anything happens, I'll take full responsibility. Although Julian was unhappy, he felt a slight sense of relief. You said it yourself. After all, if Mr. Coleman was willing to make such a promise, he probably wasn't planning to make a move on me just yet. As for why he was luring me out, that remained to be seen. Mr. Coleman said in a low voice, I said it. Are you at ease now? Julian nodded, then gave Mr. White a subtle look, signaling him to have more men follow them secretly. And with that, the group left in a grand procession. We rode in the car Mr. Coleman had brought, and even the driver was one of his trusted men. As the car drove further and further, Julian began to sense that something was wrong. Mr. Coleman, this isn't the way to the office. It looks more like the place the Astor family uses to deal with traitors. Mr. Coleman replied, what's done is done. Negotiating at the office is pointless. It's better to use more extreme measures. Don't you agree? Julian frowned, displeased. It seems you've already made your move, Mr. Coleman. Why bother consulting us then? Mr. Coleman's tone was flat, but there was a hint of gloating in it. Just going through the motions. A sense of participation is important, especially for the newly returned young master, isn't it? Julian's frown deepened. Ethan just got back, and you're taking him to a bloody place like this? Mr. Coleman turned his gaze to me. He'll have to see it sooner or later. This is just to help him adapt early. What do you think, young master? I nodded. I'd like to see what you're all up to that you have to hide from me. When we arrived, we got out of the car one by one. The location wasn't actually remote. A quick glance revealed many people secretly guarding the area. We were on the second basement level of a shopping mall. The first basement level was just an ordinary warehouse, nothing special except for extensive soundproofing. Julian waved a hand in front of his nose in disgust. Mr. Coleman, you need to do some cleaning. The stench is overwhelming. You could skip the interrogation and just let them suffocate to death. Mr. Coleman laughed. Of course, those who don't come often, like the two young masters, wouldn't be used to it. Look at White, completely unfazed. Mr. White was always in charge of these matters. For him, it was a walk in the park. The other subordinates spread out, guarding every entrance in layers. In the end, only the four of us went inside, with Mr. Coleman and Mr. White leading the way. Mr. Coleman took out a key card and swiped it on the access panel. The doors slid open, and an even more pungent smell hit us. Even I couldn't help but frown, let alone Julian. We walked to an interrogation room in the far corner, where 3 people were held separately, all covered in injuries of various sizes. Sensing our presence, they started shouting incoherently, making it impossible to tell if they were cursing or begging for mercy. Mr. Coleman pointed at them with a smile. A corporate secret was leaked, and these 3 were exposed. After investigation, 2 of them are spies from a rival company, and 1 is a traitor. Julian, covering his nose, asked with a frown, "Did you get anything out of them?" Mr. Coleman smiled. "They're tough nuts to crack. But I did discover something interesting." Mr. Coleman gestured to the guards in the room, who then pulled the black cloths from the 3 captives' eyes. The other 2 were relatively calm, but the young woman in the middle became extremely agitated the moment she saw me. She suddenly shouted at me, "I've seen him!" In the Black Serpent Syndicate's territory in the Goya district of Oakland. She had once been a member of the Black Serpent Syndicate. After offending her superior and facing the risk of being silenced, she had deserted the organization and fled to the States. And she had indeed seen me, albeit only from a distance. But because of my status and striking appearance, I had left a deep impression on her. Hearing her words, Mr. Coleman revealed a subtle smile. Everyone in the Astor family, including him, was investigating my past. At first, they found nothing, and he assumed the Astors had deliberately erased my history. But he intensified his search, and unexpectedly, he had found a lead. The young woman who had just spoken wasn't a spy from a rival company at all. She was one of his own subordinates who had joined 3 years ago. Shortly